Thursday, December 19th, 2019, day trading recap. What a day. There's so much going on. I'm going to get right into it with my most recent trade, which was right here, American Airlines. This popped up in my VWAP scan, my VWAP wedge scan that I created myself. It looks for stocks that are moving along. I'll show it on the actual scan on the screen here. That makes it a little easier to understand. Looks for stocks that are moving up along VWAP and approaching this 200 moving average, and especially when it's nice and flat like this. This is a very ideal situation. So a lot of other criteria in that VWAP scan. It basically looks for stocks that are doing that, because once you get to this point where a stock is moving up along this VWAP purple line here, and it's holding it, a lot of times once it pops above that 200, you can get a nice movement, and you can see I kind of got that right here. So I saw this earlier in the day. It actually popped up. You could see American Airlines popped up here at 9:54. So it was when it was approaching that 200 moving average. I just didn't like the pattern. It was really, really choppy. So I wanted it to settle down a little bit, and you could see it kind of consolidated right inside this little channel here, this little wedge. Once it got above here, that's when I took action. So I got above the 200 moving average, and I got in at right here at 28.25, and got out at I got out early just because it started moving. You can see this big green bar here on the 15-minute chart. You can see it started moving away from the 8 EMA. It started distancing itself a little too much for my liking. I was afraid for a big pullback. Now I wanted it to get in the 28.47 range. That was my first target. That was my 2R, and I just didn't have the guts to kind of hold on to that to wait for that to hit that target. So I got out all my shares here at 28.40. So from 28, 25, 20, 40, 15-cent gain, nothing huge, but definitely a nice movement that I was looking for right there. So earlier in the day, I definitely had a trade that I managed it well, and I just didn't. I should have been a re-entry, and that was AMD. So AMD's been on the radar for a while. Semiconductors are kind of big right now. And AMD, I'm going to go to the 1-minute chart to show you where I got into this trade. So early in the pre-market, there was movement. It wasn't gapping too much, but there was some volume. So I wanted to see how it behaved at the open. Big green bar to start. This was the 1-minute candle, the big green 1-minute candle. Then it kind of went sideways, but look at this, dropped down to VWAP and held it, popped back up, and then I had a couple bullish engulfing right here. So I got in at 42.87. And it kind of popped up all the way to about 42.98, but I didn't take anything out because I was looking for a longer run. If you look at the moving average here, or the daily candles here, you can see there was a lot of resistance here at the top of these candles in the previous candles. So once it got close to 43, there was a chance of a pullback, and you could see that did happen. It did pull back a little bit, got close to that 43, then pulled back, but it kept moving along VWAP, and eventually I just got tired of it. I wasn't sure it was going to have enough strength to push through that resistance from the previous days. So I got out. Once it got above my entry, I just said I'll just get out basically flat, and I got out at 42.90, so a 3-cent gain from 42.87. Now it was kind of good that I did this little range right here, 42.74. That I put this line. That was where I said if it got down to there, I was going to get out, and you can see it actually did come down there right after I got out. So that was kind of good that I did get out, because I would have exited here. I would have bailed on this stock, but once it kind of popped back up over VWAP, that's where I started getting interested again. And I should have re-entered. You can see all these green candles in a row moving up, nice and smooth. Should have re-entered right where I kind of got out before at around 42.90. Could have gotten into 42.90 and ridden it all the way up to the high here was 42.32. So over a 40-cent gain if I had re-entered. I'm tough with. I have a tough time re-entering trades, day trades, for some reason. It's just, once I'm done with a stock, I feel like I'm going to overtrade if I try and play it again. Specifically, if I've gotten out at a break even or less, like if I've made a loss on it, I kind of get I kind of persona non grata to me that stock is anymore, just because I just don't want to screw it up even worse. I'm a little easier with re-entering trades when the stock I've done well on a trade. So if I've made some money on it early in the day, and then I notice there might be an indicator showing that it's a good time to re-enter that trade. Well, I've already made money on it, so it's not as much as a risk to me because I can kind of just gauge how much more of my profits I want to put back into it. But when I've broke even or less, it's just hard for me because I just feel like it's gonna hurt me again. But you can see it kind of drifted after it reached that high point. But that would have been a 40-cent gain on a re-entry, which would have been nice. So just kind of, I wouldn't say I misplayed AMD. I definitely got out when I should have, because I definitely would have gotten out with a loss if I didn't bail on it early on. So AMD just couldn't make much of it. Small profit, but eventually, like I did with AAL, I eventually made a nice little gain here with AAL. Here I'm crying over this one. Yandex popped up in my I want to say it was, which scan was it? It was a no gap mover, and I don't know if it still qualifies for that right now. I don't see it there anymore, so I don't think it's there. But Yandex popped up, so you can see it was down on the day, right? Started coming back, and it's actually better on the VWAP chart. You could see on the VWAP chart, it was working its way back up, regained VWAP, a little double bottom here, and I actually was looking at it on the 1 minute chart. I should probably just go to that. I was looking at the 1 minute chart because look at this pattern. It was kind of drifting down, but then it got a big burst of volume here at 1022. Almost 1 million shares, 893,000 shares right there. And then it had a pop, and I put a little arrow right here at the time, and I said, you know what? It's kind of getting back to that 200 moving. This is almost like a wedge. It's getting back to that 200 moving average on this 1 minute chart. Which maybe I should consider getting into it. So I put it, and it was above a whole number, 42. I don't know why I didn't pull the trigger. This is an ideal trade for me. This is one that's almost a no-brainer where I should have just gotten in. I think I was reeling off of that flat trade of AMD early in the day, and I was just kind of being extra cautious, but I shouldn't, because look what happened here. Pop, little flag kind of action a little bit, and then pop over the 200, and then it just sailed. Look at how high it went. All the way up to 43 almost. And from my entry point, which would have been around 42.10 to 43, almost $1, and that would have been the perfect trade for me. This would have made my week, if not my month, depending on how many shares I really felt like getting into. But this one, I'm so upset that I didn't get into. This is the one I missed. So that was too bad. But at least I had a couple of good managed trades and a winning trade in American Airlines, so I'm not too upset about it. A couple others I was looking at. Voya, another one that was down on the day, it came back up through VWAP. Definitely worth looking at. Didn't pull a trigger on that one. I think that was Green Dot was another one that was down. And I was looking for a bounce over VWAP, but it hasn't regained VWAP. So until it does that, it's just not even going to come on Mariner. And then Rite Aid was a tough one. I wanted to get into this when it started approaching the high of the day here. It was opening range break. That popped up on my opening range, my gapping, I think, opening range. Yeah, so I have a gapping opening range break up scan, which has really been really good for me. Basically, the stock has to have gapped a certain amount and then eventually break the 30-minute opening range with a specific amount of volume. You can see a number of stocks did that today. These are all actually pretty decent trades. I think MU kind of popped off of that one. I was looking at that broke 1122. Didn't do anything. I was looking at this in the pre-market. This one looks nice and tight here. Look at this. This could be a decent entry for a late day surge. I'll keep an eye on that one. And then Rite Aid was the one though at 1020. I wanted to get in right here at 1186. Would have had to put a big stop on it, probably over 20 cents, like 25-cent stop, 1186, but it did make it all the way up to 1251, so that was a pretty decent pop if you got it. But Rite Aid was moving pretty well today. That was on a lot of people's radars. But yeah, that was it. Those were my trades. AAL, American Airlines. And then look, it did eventually hit my first target. So I'm a little pissed that I didn't hold on to it. I didn't have the discipline to, wait until it hit my first target. But I actually avoided a losing trade in AMD by getting out when I did, because I probably would have ended up bailing on it here. So in the end, I can't complain. But there's always room for improvement. That's why I'm making these videos, just so that I can look back on them and see what I've done wrong, what I've done right. And I encourage everyone else to at least keep a written log of all your trades. If you're new to day trading, it's very important that you catalog what you do. It's the best way to improve on your trading. You get to you see what you've made mistakes on and improve on them, and then you start to remember those things that you've done in the past, with specific strategies as well, where you said, oh, I played this strategy with this type of stock and it didn't work. And then you remember that and you kind of avoid those missteps and those pitfalls. So that's why I'm making these videos, so I can go back and overlook. And if it helps anyone else, that's great. So if you're interested in trade ideas, please look at the description in this for this video. There's a couple of links in there that'll take you to trade ideas. If you want to subscribe, use my promo code TCTrader15 for 15% off your first month, or for I think a year subscription, depending on what you get. And yeah, just use the links to take you there. So I'd highly encourage it. If you're going to be day trading, it's an investment. You gotta put money in, but I mean, in terms of any kind of self business, it's relatively cheap. If you're doing this on your own, you're not going to school to learn how to day trade. You're not investing in office space or anything like that if you're doing it from home. So the best investment you can make, I would say, would be trade ideas. It's you can't do without it. And if you do have trade ideas and you want some of the scans that I use to find the stocks that I've been finding here, let me know and I'll send them over to you. All right. Good luck trading, and hopefully be back tomorrow, Friday, for the last trading day of the week.